What is up, Mark, Mr. Willie?
Advancing Prefab. Happy BS Friday, Dave Cooper Live.
Yeah, happy BS Friday. A little behind the scenes look there when we came live. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a great show, and we are going to educate the world on how to better detect leaks in your home, whether it's new construction, old construction, or you're thinking about construction. This is a learning chance for everybody, not only in the physical sense, but also in the practical sense.
It's go time. If you didn't know time, keep it official like a referee with the whistle.
It's go time. I love it. How you doing, brother? I see you. You're stepping up in the world. You're living in a container now with all your tools.
I tell you what, imagine doing a blower door on a 9.5 foot by 8 foot double door container. Imagine that.
I could imagine that. You know what I want to do with a container though? I want one of those. I want one of those container swimming pools.
My first question would be, what color would you like, Dave?
Well, blue, of course. That's my color.
Okay. And how big will it be, Dave?
Well, I'd like to be able to do a lap. Can I get a 40-foot container?
You can get a 40-foot container. And how deep would you like it, Dave?
Well, I think 9 foot would be plenty. 8.5, 7. 7's good. 6 maybe.
I've done 6 foot. I've done 6 foot. Water displacement is an interesting thing. You have to reinforce these things a great deal. But I love the color blue. I could picture the Dave Cooper Live logo on the side.
Yeah.
Who is going to sponsor the first Dave Cooper Live pool? Put the comment down there. Give us some sponsors. We need a blue pool for Dave Cooper Live.
You know, I think this is at the next International Builder Show, Mark. We should show up with a container pool for outside so we can and put some heat in it, right? Because it was a little chilly this year. Put some heat in it, and you could cut a big side out for the glass, and people could watch us swimming around in there. And we'll call it the Dave Cooper Live relaxation spot next to all the advancing prefabricated homes.
I tell you what, I could picture the inner tubes floating now. We'll have the speakers. Get ready. Mark and Dave broadcasting live from the container pool. I'll build it. Dave will take care of all the video and audio, and we will see you on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
That's right. That's right. And we were just talking about, Mark. I want everybody to stay tuned. I believe it is on the 27th of March. We will be doing a 24-hour, maybe 12. 24 is what everybody's pushing for, though. Live streaming event from Las Vegas, Nevada. We're going to have a select bunch of people there. We're going to be at Boxable. We're going to sleep in a casita, one of the folding homes that everybody talks about, says they're good.
Wait a minute.
All
if
of it.
It's 24 hours. There's no sleeping.
Oh, no,
you got to stay awake.
No. See, that's where people like you come along. That's where people like Mark help out and others along the way. We'll figure it out, though.
The 18-mile mark, we're doing push-ups. We're jogging in place. Calisthenics. Let's go time if you didn't know time.
It's going to be fun right before World of Modular. So with that said, Mark, we got a big show today. We got a fast show today. Today is a show where we are here strictly to showcase some new technology that is being used in the big red door of truth. And not only on the big red door of truth. How do you say it? The red door of truth, right?
The red door of truth.
Perfect. So we got it. The red door of truth. And with that, though, what I really like about this is it comes with education, this one. A lot of education, a lot of clarity, a lot of how-tos, all right here, right there on the old phone. You have it all right here. So you got inexperienced workers. They can see exactly what they're supposed to do. This is going to be a fun show. I'm super excited about it. What do you think?
I'm excited. Let's journey now behind the scenes to the special tech facility of Retrotec and Sam Myers.
I don't know if anybody here. He's got the fans going. Sam Myers.
Oh, hey guys. Sorry about that.
Look at him, man. He's back there working. I love it. Hey, you know we got a show on here, right?
Sorry, I was testing out the new DM32X. You guys got to check this thing out. It's going to change blower door testing for the better, for sure.
DM32X. Sam Myers, happy BS Friday to you, brother.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this for a little while. It's always fun coming on your show.
It is. It is. You know, Sam, I know you didn't mean it, but it really felt good when we figured out that the DM was inspired by Dave and Mark from the BS Friday show. You know,
who else would it be named after?
We should have a seal of approval. We should have seal of approval on the packaging every time one goes out.
Well, yeah, this is something we've been working on for the past 3 years pretty hard. We came out with the DM32. It turned 10 years old this year in January. And that was the first manometer for airtightness testing that had a touch screen, that had wireless capabilities that could be run with apps. And there's been a lot more technology introduced over the past decade that we've really been wanting to take advantage of. Plus, components for that DM32 have been tough to get. So there's been two big reasons there of why we've had to come up with a new product, and we're really excited about it. It's really going to make things a lot faster and easier.
So the components were tough to get because of supply chain issues or manufacturing issues, or
a mixture of several different things. Like, for example, those screens, you know, the screens in that DM32 aren't really used in a whole lot of stuff anymore. There's a lot better options out there now. So they were just kind of drifting away. But yeah, manufacturing, just the typical cluster that's happened since the pandemic. It made it tough to get some products that we needed. So as we've been sourcing new stuff for the DM32X, a lot of these newer components that are out now are a lot easier to get.
Great.
It's so tremendous, this innovation, because the original paved the way for this, but truly the marketplace didn't have this technology, right? So this is an undertaking of that 10 years to bring this forward. And if you would have brought it in 7 years ago, it wouldn't be what it is today. We've seen such an advancement, and I can't wait to see more. The DM32X.
The Dave and Mark 32X. I love it. All right, I'll lay off the ego stuff there, just having a little bit of fun. But yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of fun, Sam. You let us know where you want to jump into this, because we have a lot to cover. One, you're going to give us a small demo, which we were kind of seeing, or at least show us around. But two, I think the educational side of this for all the people out there that are watching this, when they look at this product and they need to make a decision on which Red Door of Truth they need to buy for their project, I think this is going to be the game changer for you. And I want to make sure that we give people what they came for.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. So where do you want to start?
Yeah. So, well, if you haven't joined in, if you missed the last episode, the room that you're seeing me in here, this is my lab that I built. This is really a product of the pandemic. My primary role as an educator and building scientist at Retrotec is to teach, right? So I travel around to conferences and training events, and when 2020 happened, there was 18 months where none of us were really going anywhere. So I built this chamber, which is basically a tiny house on wheels in my garage that can be a simulator for single family housing, a multifamily complex, commercial building, basically anything that so that I can replicate all kinds of testing that we do in the field, teach it over Zoom, replicate issues customers are having in the field, test out new products and software and things like that. So, so this is my big nerd space that I've built here for myself. So, we've got the DM32X here hooked up, and then I actually have it hooked up to my PC so you can actually see the screen here in just a sec. But, when we were thinking about designing this gauge, there were some common sense things that we really wanted to put into it. For example, durability is a big thing. Blower doors are used on construction sites. Things happen. This equipment gets thrown in the back of trucks, drops sometimes. So the screen itself is actually Gorilla Glass, like you see on the new iPhones. So we did some pretty rigorous drop testing on it for the same standards that the military uses for their equipment. And the only way we could get that screen to break was by throwing it out a second-story window onto a gravel parking lot. So we were really happy with that. It's got aluminum bezels that go around it. They help protect it as well.
Wasn't there a story, though, with the new Elon Musk truck when the windows weren't supposed to break? And Live on stage. I think that's awesome. It makes a whole lot of sense, right? These things are in the field, they're mobile, they're getting thrown in and out of buildings, in and out of trucks, and nobody ever cares for your equipment the way the owner cares for the equipment. And
Exactly.
I think that's super important. Love it.
Yeah, it's a treasure tool, and no one wants to drop it. But the fact that you went to those measures to deliver the best that the industry can have, and the tech partners that you had to create it is great. So Gorilla Glass is a part of the DM32X. That's awesome.
Yeah. And, another thing that we were thinking about too is, man, airtightness testing in buildings has been around longer than I've been alive. I mean, Retrotec's been doing this since 1980. However, it's still a brand new concept to so many people that get into it every day. And we have so many trades that are getting into it. Home builders are getting into it, especially
Right.
custom home builders. Insulators are doing it to show that, we went in and we air sealed it and we have the papers to prove that we made a difference. HVAC contractors are getting into it now, mainly for a liability reason. Like, hey, is your comfort problem in your house? Is this something that's part of the mechanical equipment, or is it the house itself?
Right.
So the blower door is a way to differentiate those two, or really narrow down where the source of the problem is. But yeah, energy auditors, we have more of those coming in for code testing too, as new states come online. HERS raters, we have new HERS raters coming on to do this as well, to help out with some of that code testing. So it's still a new concept to so many different people in different trades. And so one thing that we wanted to add into this gauge is to make this easier. One thing that made the DM32 a hit 10 years ago is the color coded ports. You just match the colors of the tubing to the port on the gauge and off you go. Well, still, this blower door testing is such a different process than anything else in the trades.
Yep.
There's still a lot to learn there to understand what's going on, and if you're getting weird numbers, why. So with this new gauge, it's built on an Android 12 platform. So that's really giving us a nice blank canvas to write whatever teaching tools we want to on this thing. So there's actually an app built onto the gauge itself called, as we just called it, the Resources app, that has videos that shows you how to walk through how to set up a house to do a blower door test, how to set up the equipment, how to get the reading that you need off the gauge, what to do if you're getting some weird readings that don't make sense. So there's some troubleshooting things in there as well.
It's so amazing. Like, to date myself, the first time I was involved in this, it was a 3-day workshop, right? And there were not the videos and the content, let alone the device offering that resource. This is truly amazing for a newcomer to the space, as well as a seasoned professional, to say, oh, that's what's going on. Now I get it, and check it out.
Yeah, and what I mentioned, the DM32 is the first gauge to have wireless capability. What we did 10 years ago was we wrote an app called rCloud so that you could pair a phone or a tablet with it, and then it could automatically generate a report for you. So there's really no need to bring a pencil and paper or clipboard. It'll geolocate where you are. It'll take elevation and temperature into account. Well, the biggest problem that customers had was connectivity. Sometimes it would drop out. Sometimes there would be updates to Android or Apple that would kind of throw us off, and we wouldn't know about it until the customer told us. Well, we got rid of all those problems with this gauge just by putting rCloud into the gauge itself. So There's no need to pair a phone with it. It's just built into the device that gives us full control to push any kind of updates or bug fixes. You can connect it over the internet if you want to update those reports to your file if you want to. So you just connect it just like you would any smartphone to your Wi-Fi at the office, or if you want to bring Wi-Fi in the field, you can, but you don't have to.
Can it connect Bluetooth as well?
Yeah, it does have Bluetooth on there. So similar like the DM32 had with the remote testing app, we're going to have a feature like that too. So if you want to connect over Bluetooth, you can. However, the Wi-Fi on this new one has a 150-foot range. So,
Wow.
so you get a lot more range out of the Wi-Fi than you do the Bluetooth. So
Okay.
depending on how you want to connect and what kind of test you want to do, Wi-Fi might make more sense.
So I want to clarify that. So a lot of construction sites don't have Wi-Fi, and I think when people think about Wi-Fi, they're thinking about they need data connection from the cell carriers. Is that what that has to happen for this to work? Or are you connecting through the data on your phone?
Not at all. You're just using that Wi-Fi signal as a way to communicate.
Got it.
And that's what the R Cloud did too with the phone. It's basically like you're sending a signal just like you would over Bluetooth, but you don't need to be connected to the internet. It's just a way for those two devices to communicate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. I love it. Well, we got to.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Larry Clay's out there. He says, great subject. Looking forward to learning from the expert. This is where the industry is headed. So just want to throw that up. You got some fans out here, Sam. So
yeah, thanks, Larry.
We'll get to it.
And Larry Clay and his team, they have a Retrotec if you haven't watched it. Mateo, hello to you as well. Aaron Jones.
Oh, you got to give Aaron Jones
it's
this one.
Hang loose.
He says, hi, Sam.
Hey, Aaron. Aaron and I have been communicating quite a bit, doing a blower door contest over Instagram. That was a lot of fun. So.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That is fun. The free fellas, heads up. Good to see you guys. All right. So, Sam, we got a lot to get through. So go ahead, Mark. I keep cutting you up. Mark, by the way, Mark's still on satellite, and it's looking pretty good, but there is a bit of a little tiny glitch of a delay. So I don't mean to keep talking over you.
That's okay. I'm sorry for the glitch. Intuitiveness is a big part of what this new DM32X has. It has the thinking for what people will be coming across. Why don't we put it front and center? And Sam, let's rattle off these awesome attributes and acknowledge why this is the tool we want in our hands and on our projects.
Sure. So I am sharing here. If we can get this.
Yeah, let me do that.
Pulled up. Awesome. So this is what the interface looks like right when you turn the gauge on. This is the home screen. So there's a few different places where you can go. You can launch the gauge itself. That's the R Cloud app, like I was talking about before. If you run an automated test, if you're a ResNet HERS rater now, you have to do what's called a multi-point test, where you test a house at different pressures. If not, they make you take a 10% penalty. So now you can do that without even having to pair a phone or use a laptop, which is what we had to do before until now. And then the resources app is where the videos, even the manuals for all of our equipment are stored here too, if you want to go look stuff up. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But just to show you what the gauge looks like, if I go ahead and launch that, if you're familiar with the DM32, very similar layout. We didn't want to go in and change a bunch of stuff, so you had to relearn things. We wanted to keep things a little bit similar. So channel A at the top, channel B is where your flow is. We still have the picture of the fan. But what was cool in the DM32 is, for the most part, if you wanted to change something, you could just tap that area of the screen, but not 100%. On this gauge, literally any aspect about the gauge or the settings that you want to change, it's available here on the home screen. So there's no need to go dig through a settings menu. We don't want you to have to go hunt stuff down.
The first timers here, Sam, PA does not stand for Pennsylvania. PA stands for...
Unless you live in Pennsylvania.
Unless you live in Pennsylvania, right? So you have acronyms going on here with the CFM, right? So let's just start there and tell people what they're saying for the first time real quick.
So when we measure airtightness in a house, we have to induce it to a certain pressure. And so the industry standard is 50 pascals of pressure. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like bringing the house to a pressure that it would experience during a 20-mile-an-hour wind. And so it's like a 20-mile-an-hour wind is hitting all 6 sides of the house, all 4 walls, the ceiling, and the floor. So we test every house that way. Commercial buildings is 75, but residential houses are 50 pascals. So we're always going to test that. That kind of helps put each house on an even playing field. And that's like that all over the world. US, Canada, and Europe, everyone tests to 50 pascals. So that's what we're going to read here. This is what we call a 2-channel manometer. So one side of the manometer is reading the house pressure with respect to outside. The other side is reading the fan pressure. And since we know the fan pressure, we're measuring that. And we know the surface area of the holes to the inlet side of the fan, like these 4 that you see here, then we can calculate flow. And the gauge just does that for us. Back in the day, we had to do all this longhand math by hand. Now the gauge is like a mini computer that just does it all for us and spits out the reading in real time. So we read flow in CFM.
It gets dialed in based on the cubic footage in the place and the kind of expected loss, and then you're going to alter each of those ports, right, to allow more or less in, and then you're also going to be pressurizing and depressurizing.
Yeah. So for houses, a lot of times we depressurize. So that would be a negative 50 pascals that we would induce on the house. However, there might be some instances where we want to pressurize instead. Most standards give us the option to do either one. I like to pressurize because we have dampers on the side of the house for kitchen exhaust, bath exhaust. I like to pull those in rather than blow them open. But if we have some mold growth that's happening along the air barrier, maybe we don't want to pull those mold spores in. It might be better to push those out. Or if we have a wood burning fireplace that has a bunch of ashes that haven't been cleaned out, we don't want to pull that stuff in either. So taking a good evaluation over that building to make sure that doing a depressurization test is safe is always a good idea.
And then when we get into multi-unit buildings, so if we pause on a single-family residential home, what are some conversations that are commonplace for people to have in their mindset for that?
Yeah, so you're talking about apartment buildings, townhouses, things like that. Yeah, you have some different tests that you can choose from, depending on whatever standards that you're testing to. So we have what's called a compartmentalized test. That's where you just test the unit, you count the leakage next door to the other units as well, and that's your number. Or if you don't want to count that, if you only want to see the leakage to the outdoors, then we can do what's called a guarded test, where we actually have blower doors set up on the adjacent units to get those to 50 pascals as well. Because in order to have a leak, we have to have 2 things. We have to have a hole and a pressure difference across the hole. Well, yes. if we have a leak in a common wall, but both are at negative 50 pascals and nothing's really happening through that hole, so that leak's not getting counted. So we're able to cancel that out if we want to. So the 2 types of tests are great. It just depends on what you want to count.
I think those are great things to say, because a lot of times we've been in multi-unit buildings and you might know what your neighbor's having for dinner, right? And odor is just one form, but that also shows that there's a path for air. But for the safety measure, it could also tell you that there's an opening that hasn't gone through fire protection, right? There could just be a direct path that was overlooked, and that wasn't by design. That was by error or mistake, right?
Right. And for indoor air quality too, a lot of these more rigorous standards now require a more compartmentalized test, because sometimes people are still going to smoke in their homes, and you don't want that to affect the people next door or above you or below you. So if you really restrict that air tightness just to that one unit, you kind of help contain that so it doesn't spread to other people.
Wonderful, wonderful ways to approach it. Should we advance down the line of these awesome resources?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah. I think we need to get, all this is great, but here's the thing, Sam, a guy like myself, I wouldn't know how to use one of these. I've always had to hire somebody to bring one of these in and use. I see in the comments, like Aaron Jones says, it should be the standard kit for all builders and remodelers, right? So it should be. But
yeah,
I don't know how to use it or hook it up or know that I'm going to do it right, or what ducts I got to close off. Do I got to go put, some sort of plastic in the dryer vent, thing, so I'm not sucking air in and out, all the stuff that would have to happen. I'm being a little over the top with that, but you guys have kind of solved that as well. Yes.
Yeah. So if I back out of the gauge here, and again, if you're used to any kind of Android device, we keep those buttons at the bottom so you can go back to home, close out apps and things like that. So if I click this circle at the bottom, that's just going to take me back to that main home screen. And then I can go launch this resource app. and it pulls up this menu here, and it has all of our tools that we make: blower doors, duct testers, the flow box, and so on. And so under each tool, we'll start with blower doors. You have some different options on how you can, absorb the knowledge of how to use that tool. So before this, when we just had the original DM32, what we would do is have a one-page quick guide that would be laminated and then put into the case. And it worked great, but people would lose them. We also have them on our website. They could download them and print them off again if they wanted to, but it's anything on paper these days is kind of old school. There's just a better way to do things. So we actually have those quick guides built in here now, and you can just pick what fan model you have and visit that quick guide. We have the full manual in here too. So if you really want to dive into the weeds to see how something works or see what the equation is on how we get a flow at a certain range, you can look at that if you want to. But the screen resolution on this, again, is it's an OLED display that's 1080p. We can put our own videos in here, and you don't have to access the internet to get them. They're actually built into the device.
I wanted to compliment you on that because, again, not everyone in the marketplace knows the tools. But right away, when I saw that first image pop up, it actually made me think that the blower door was in front of me. It's visually there. Talk about modern. I feel you went somewhere in the future and you brought it to us today.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for that. When we kind of had to step back and think about how we're going to put these resources together, because from the very beginning to the very end of a blower door test, there's a lot going on. So we didn't want to just make one video and say, here you go, good luck. We actually broke it down into sections. Each one's just a few minutes long. Maybe some of them are even 30 seconds long, because we wanted you to be able to access that quick, get that answer you need, get back to work. So setting up the house, putting the frame together, installing the cloth, all of these are broken apart. So whatever you need help with, there's a specific short video for that. So if I want to set up the fan and gauge, we just have a quick intro to make sure you're on the right one, install the fan and gauge, and then it just rolls into that topic. So yep, you get a little mini version of me in each gauge telling you how to set this thing up. So
this is exactly what Dave was asking for, right?
It was,
part one, part two, like learn as you go. Part 8.
So we'll have that for each tool. There's a troubleshooting section at the end. So for example, like, okay, what if I get to 50 pascals, but I'm not reading a flow? So, all that's answered there too in these videos here at the end, because we've been doing this a long time. We know what the most common questions are. So
right.
The people that head up our tech support team have put a lot of input into this too, just to go ahead and answer some of these FAQs right off the bat.
What is the most common question that you do get?
Oh man, that's probably it. If you're say I got to 50 pascals, but I get 2 dashes, like why am I not getting a reading?
Right.
Well, it's like,
right.
yeah, you don't have the right range selected. You'd have to, restrict the flow on your fan and then readjust on your gauge. And now you can generate more pressure in your fan and get what you need, or do the opposite if the opposite's happening. If if you can't get to 50 pascals, but you're getting a flow, then yeah, you have to go the other way. So that's probably the most common. So we wanted to make sure we built that in there, had a video on that. And if I go into this menu as well, let's pop back over to here. I'll show you where I went to get to that. If I go to the resources app, we have this hamburger menu at the top left. There's actually a troubleshooting option here. So, okay, I'm having trouble with fans. I have a Model 5000. I can't reach my target pressure. Oh, well, it actually will point you to the part of the manual that actually has that. So it'll actually take you right there and explain to you how to do that and how that works. So. So we know a lot of people that run blower door tests. It's probably somebody who works for a company, an HVAC contractor that works for a company, or a HERS rater that works for a company that gets out there. They're new or they don't do it often. They have to call back into the office. Hey, what do I do here again? And if somebody doesn't answer, then they're kind of stranded. And then maybe they pick up the phone and then they call us. We want to try to remove all of that. We want to let the gauge to answer those simple questions so you guys can keep moving.
It's total accessibility. if you have to look no farther than the device in your hand, your odds of success have gone up, and now you have time to sit down and have a lunch and look at the great project that you're there to review. Marvelous advancement. And there's probably a plethora of people behind the scenes that contributed to this, right? And brought it forward. So we'd like to acknowledge all the folks that made this possible and spread the word, folks, because this is
Yeah.
making lives easier, and it's fantastic, Sam.
Yeah, thanks. A big shout out to Ben Walker, who's one of our CEOs that heads up our technical team. He started with Retrotec in 1995 and designed the first digital manometer for blower doors, which is the DM1. And he's been trucking along ever since. So this is one of his brainchildren, and really happy to see it unfold. So yeah, he and his team have crushed it on this.
How do people get a hold of this product?
So it's available now. We just released it this month. So we've been taking some pre-orders. They will begin to ship in a couple of weeks. We are out of DM32s, so those are no more. So now everything is officially switched over from DM32 to DM32X. So if you purchase a blower door now, this is the gauge that it will come with.
Perfect.
Love it. Love it. And how fast can I get one?
So like I said, we haven't shipped yet, so it'll be another couple of weeks. So after that point, if you've already put an order in, that's about when they're going to ship. And after that, we'll have them in stock.
Excellent.
So for the techie people out there, is there any calibration that has to happen? Say I use this thing and I use this thing, or say I forget about it. What does that world look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we started with the DM32 10 years ago, what we did was we switched from an analog sensor to a digital sensor.
Mm-hmm.
And so that allowed us to jump from a 2-year calibration interval to a 5-year calibration interval. And so we're using those same sensors with this gauge. So we're still at that 5-year calibration interval. And those digital sensors just don't drift out of calibration nearly as much as the analog sensors do. So they are a much more durable calibration each time. So we're really comfortable with that 5-year interval. Except for this time now, we've gotten a lot smarter with these sensors, and we've been able to write our own software to filter the results. And so the numeric stability on this gauge is just incredible. That's how we're able to have that live graph that kind of captures everything you're doing to be accurate within 1/100th of a Pascal every time.
1/100th of a Pascal.
Yeah. So
wow.
I can show you what that looks like. If we go back here, if I go
That's
back
like
into the gauge.
That's
Yeah.
less
Yeah.
than a sneeze.
So if I hit this graph button on the gauge itself, so I can come over here. We're looking at channel B here. I'll switch over to channel A.
Look at that, Dave. We can see on our screen.
Yeah, it's
So
clear.
I can tap on this. I can tap on this hose here to simulate wind, and you can just see how responsive it is.
Wow. Look at that.
We've made for any software nerds that might be looking at this. There's 3 layers of filtering we've done for these sensors in order to make this happen. So you can do data logging in buildings with this and be able to graph it out on the device itself. So if you have something weird happening in a certain part of a building where pressures are fluctuating, you can measure it overnight and then compare that with the data that you might have from some mechanical software or building automation software, and then actually be able to narrow things down a lot faster that way. So it's not just a gauge, it's a very capable data logger as well.
So people know that there's nothing up our sleeves. Can you tap on that hose one more time, Sam?
Sure. This is just the red reference tube that we would plug into the cloth to read pressure outside. So I'm just tapping on it. And this also shows the importance of when you're running a blower door test, make sure you're not standing on any tubes because it can throw some readings off. But that's simply what that is.
I love it.
Amazing. I'm so glad that we got to cover this today. You've always been wonderful to have on the show. I know in April, you're going to be talking until you lose your voice, right? At the Building Performance Association. It's the High Performance Coalition, right? In Seattle.
Yep. The HPC National Conference is in Seattle this year in April.
Right.
It's usually a big event for us, but we're located in Washington State, about an hour and 45-minute drive north of Seattle. So we'll have some more of our team members in and out. We'll have a booth for sure. I'm teaching with Ken Allison from IDI. We're doing a half-day airtightness workshop. So that'll be one of the pre-conference sessions. And so yeah, that'll be a fun event for sure. So if you're in building performance and have never been to that event, it's definitely a good one to attend.
I'll remind the audience, Sam is very reachable. The entire team at Retrotec is very reachable. There is someone in your neighborhood that has one. If you don't have the resources for one, find it, borrow it. This should be used on existing projects, existing buildings, new construction. It should be used frequently. This is how we learn, and connect with Sam. Go back and watch part 1 and look for more visits from Sam and the team of Retrotec. We always enjoy what you guys do for the marketplace. DM32X. Love it.
Yeah,
awesome.
Appreciate that. And if you guys ever get into this, I'm sam@retrotec.com. Feel free to shoot me an email. And if you go to retrotec.com, you'll see the phone number for our support line. So feel free to talk to Tim or Lee there too. They're super knowledgeable in this stuff. So we're always happy to help.
I love it. Sam, appreciate you coming on. We meant for this to be a quick educational show. We've had you on doing the blower door test before, but we haven't had you on showcasing the new stuff that's going to help everybody out there to build it better. And when I say everybody, just look at the comments. You got some of the best high performance builders in the world on in the comments right now. You got Peter Molinar, Christopher Mashandi, Rob Hoskin, Aaron Jones, Andrew Seeley. I mean, they're out here. If I missed anybody, don't take it to person. Lip Free Contracting, can't forget those folks either. All good. Mateo, and then Larry Clay is leading the way and has been for a lot of years. It's got to feel good for Larry to be in a place in his life, kind of like you, Mark, where now he doesn't have to convince everybody. People are starting to realize it. And he's like, I told you so.
We used to have to make Kool-Aid, and now everyone's drinking it. And it's because of education and resources like this. Tip of the hat to Greg Ugaldi and the mighty folks at NAHB. We're all still on a high from the International Builder Show. So much more content on that. And Sam, this is an open door. This is an open door for your Red Door of Truth. We love all you do, and we can't wait to have you back.
Yeah,
appreciate it, guys. It's fun every time. Looking forward to doing it again.
It is a lot of fun. All right, I just got to put it out there real quick, Mark. Give me 1 second here. Advancing Prefab, March 14th through the 17th. Save 10% on the promo code DC Live 10. I know some of you in the audience have already used this, and it does save you quite a bit of money. So there you have it, everybody. March 14th through the 17th. And guess who will be there? Yes, I will be there. And we're going to be having some fun. Heck, we might even have our own little cocktail hour. Let me know. We'll see. Mark?
Next week, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Yes, Friday. If you know, you know. Sam, have a great weekend. I know you still got hours of work in front of you, but you and the team, DM32X, thank you very much.
Appreciate you having me on.
Mark, flash me. On BS Friday. If you don't know, look it up in the comments. I bet somewhere in our BS Friday, you'll figure out what that means. All right, Sam, don't go anywhere. Mark, good seeing you as well. Hang tight. We'll see everybody on Friday next week. Bye now.